Welcome to Collabnut Multiplayer. I'm Honeyshuckleex.
I'm Sackbot Barbecue.
And I'm Giggleclutz.
And today we're going to be talking about Eternal Threads.
Eternal Threads? What's that?
It's a video game. You have the notes.
I have the notes, yes. I was gonna let you do the introduction.
So it's a game about time travel. The timeline has been screwed up and you need to go back and, try and fix some of it.
Right, I don't remember what the name of the agency is that you work for, but you are an agent of an agency that's using time travel to fix the mess that time travel has made in the future.
Yeah, it's like they time traveled one time and that completely fucked up the timeline, so you're being sent back to, sending agents back to start cleaning up messes.
Yeah, and where normally a lot of time travel games are like, oh, let's jump to this period, oh, let's jump to this period, oh, let's jump to this period. No, this one's localized to one house and you are an observer.
Yes.
You're just following the mundane activities of 6 people.
And their friends.
Yeah, and their friends / husband, children, that kind of thing. Over a set of days. It's not quite a week.
It's about a week.
Okay, it's about a week, and the whole point is to save them from a house fire. Okay, so housekeeping on this game is Eternal Threads. We played on Steam. I was not able to find out whether or not they are on other platforms, but it's by Cosmonaut Studios, is developed it, and it was published by Secret Mod, and it sells full price for $19.99. It came out in 2022. There. Boring, out of the way.
Yay!
And then, of course, if we're doing an episode on it, we like the game. Pretty much always we like the game. If we're going to bother to do an episode and talk to you about it, we like it. We like it, we recommend it, we want to talk more about it. In fact, I hope they make another one. Like, if I get to put whispers in the ether, I hope they make another Eternal Threads.
Yeah. Like, there's some caveats, though, of course. One, you have to like movies.
Yes, it is like watching, almost a full-length movie. And
it took us like 3 weeks to beat this or something, didn't it?
Yeah,
so
that was only 9.5 hours. We only play once a week for a session of around 2 to 3 hours. So, yeah, I checked today. Our playtime on it is only 9.5 hours. So you can play the whole thing in less than 10 hours, but to get going, I want to talk about how we're going to structure the episode for just a second, and then we'll pop right back in. It's like we're going to talk about bad, then the good, and then the great, and all the great stuff is spoilers, so that's the way it is. And the bad is all interface stuff. The game itself, once you get over the interface problems, is fantastic. So we're going to talk about the interface first.
More like interface plant. Ouch.
Ouch.
Oh. So there's like, this game has like this sort of timeline that you can like scroll through, and it's like sectioned off into different days. And so, one part is like trying to figure out what day something happened in when there's so many events can be really, really hard.
But do the events even appear until after you've watched the things that precede them?
No, you can watch them in any order.
Okay.
Any order at all, which means that the worst order is probably alphabetical.
Yeah, so, I mean, the strategy we used, because this is a butterfly effect kind of game, was to watch the whole thing, the whole timeline as standard, the default timeline, just so we could get a lay of the land before we started messing with things. But that is tedious. It takes a very long time to do. It took hours to just watch everything so we would understand the impact of the changes that we made. I don't know how they'd fix that for sure. Breaking it into different kinds of pieces might be better. Shortening it to less, to a couple days rather than a full week might have been better. I don't know. I'm not saying that it's not game breaking, but it is a humongous hurdle toward getting into it.
So yeah, it's like there's some kind of acknowledgement of how cumbersome this game can be, as when you start the game up there is a, technically a simplified mode of some sort. We'd never actually played that one. You can't beat the game in full if you use that mode.
Yeah, you can't get, like, the good ending if you do that.
Which, getting the good ending for each character is so satisfying that I don't recommend that you do that to yourself. I think that the richness of the game is how complicated things are and how good the good endings can be.
So yeah, it's like this game's, really gets into the time travel concept it has of going to places, changing decisions, and, the cause and effect that has, but they get so into it and do so much with it that, it's executed well, but there's almost just too much of it.
Yeah, it's like, that's the thing, is it's too much for that time that we have. And then what were the UI problems?
it's difficult to explain since the AI is just... AI.
UI.
UI is so strange.
Here's how I would describe from like my short time being in control. Most of the time Sackbot had it handled. So you can scroll up and down the timeline, right? But like you always have like at least one event like highlighted. So you can scroll back and forth down the timeline, but if you suddenly decide to just like instead like move your selection left or right, it will snap you right back to where you were before instead of like highlighting anything on your screen, which that's one thing that like really disoriented me because like I was right where I wanted to be and suddenly I'm back in Tuesday.
You know, there's something where it'll scroll through the timeline automatically. Trying to manually input, you know, scrolling during that gets overwritten. You'll end up just fighting the automatic scrolling instead of just giving you priority.
And then sometimes when you make choices, you can turn other things into choices, but it doesn't necessarily actually, like, highlight that those things changed. It just shows you, like, the new events that would create sometimes. And it's like,
So in other words, there is some clunkiness to the user interface that if you push through, you end up in a really interesting story told in basically a movie format. It's very well done. I think it's very well written. It's very well acted, for the most part.
oh yeah,
One exception.
Should I
Go ahead.
include that in the bad? Okay.
Yes, please include that in the bad. Let's
Okay,
not include that in the great.
Ben's actor, you cannot do an Indian accent. I'm sorry, you've tried, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Please don't. I would prefer...
Pretty sus. Yeah.
I would prefer you did not.
That was the one that really stuck out. Other than that, the writing was great. The characters are fantastic. In fact, the story of these people over 5 days is a wonderful character-driven narrative. It's definitely worth your time. It goes on sale regularly if $19.99 is out of your price range. So yeah, we definitely recommend it, but we don't want the user interface stuff to catch you by surprise because it's kind of clunky and a little hard to navigate. But what they do with it is definitely worth the experience. That's our take on it, right? Thumbs up?
Yeah. It feels a little weird to say it right now after having talked about the stuff we didn't like, but there's going to be so much more stuff we do like. So.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You know, making sure to cap off the bad section with, we still definitely recommend this game anyway, is like...
Mm-hmm. That's how much we like the things they did well. But the least spoilery things about the game are the things that we did not like. So we want to make sure that we're really upfront with that because we want you to take our recommendations kind of seriously. I mean, we do.
Yeah.
We don't recommend everything willy-nilly.
No. In fact, yeah. We're trying to figure out how to format the things that we don't like. It's just so we can talk about them without doing full episodes about them. So someday that's coming. But anyway, back to Eternal Threads. What's the good? A non-spoilery good.
Everybody is different.
Very different.
Very different. Like, the whole game, like, starts with somebody moving into the house. That's not, like, that's pretty...
Oh, we didn't even set the stage. So the stage is everyone living in this house is a renter except for Tom, who is the landlord. He owns the house, and everyone else is a renter in the house.
So our story starts with somebody moving into the house, and so you get to very quickly learn, like, the dynamic of the household. Because, guess what? One of the people living there is her younger brother!
Right, and another's a married couple, and in another room is their best friend.
Who has lots of partners.
And then you have the landlord. So you get to meet everybody, and the characters are all very well rounded. They have their own lives, they have their own stories, and they're very individual characters, but very well thought out characters. That's why it works in a movie format, is because they're people.
Yeah, like, it works very well because, like, every pair of characters has their own, like, dynamic. Like, Ben, the doctor, has more of, like, a, almost, like... How do I describe some of these? Oh my god, it's hard to sometimes.
Well, the thing is that like you wouldn't think that only experiencing a week of these people's lives you would get to understand how they do actually have relationships with everyone else in the house, which is a unique experience for me. I've never lived in a house where I had, outside of like dorms in college, where I had a relationship with all these people I was not related to next door. But every relationship is examined at least a little bit. Some of them a lot more than others, but it's quite cool. And you get to see not just saving these people for the good ending is actually not just saving them from the fire, but giving them a better life.
Because, the specific goal, what makes the importance of the characterization is just the fact that the event you're supposed to clean up is the fact that they die in this house fire that's, coming at the end of the week, not stopping the fire.
And I'm glad that they are upfront about that at the beginning. Like, no, the fire needs to happen. Just save their lives.
And it turns out the way to save their lives is save their relationships. Which is pretty cool. And one of the other great things about this game is, when I say relationships, I literally mean friendships. Like, there's only one romantic relationship between the 6 main characters. And that's there really is only one romantic relationship, and that's between the married couple. And so it's not a will they, won't they, it's only a week, so it's good that they didn't get into that. That would have been distracting from the focus.
Yeah, I mean, you can absolutely make them get into fights, but not like we need a divorce, as far as I can tell.
Jeez. Yeah, that's beyond the scope of a week.
I mean, it's like, I can't remember if they were actually technically married during the events of the game, but at the same time, the important note from that really is that it doesn't matter.
Were they not married? Oh, I might...
okay,
maybe they weren't.
I'm just calling them married.
Okay, yeah.
They're the couple.
They are. They're the firmly established couple. I do apologize if I'm wrong about that. We did play this a few months ago, so...
But yeah, that's just the point. It's like, they is the thing.
They is the thing. But that's not actually the important part for the audience. The important part for the audience is the characters are so rich, and you wouldn't expect that a time traveler saving people from a house fire would be doing that through strengthening their own characters and relationships.
Yeah, like, all of them have, like, their little secrets, their little things that need to come to light, and it's really fascinating and satisfying to discover that.
Yeah, because it's like, you're digging up everybody's secrets and bringing them up, but it's like, ultimately it boils down to, helping these people,
navigate life hardship.
It's not just like, oh, you're gonna, dig into it and reveal how horrible everyone is.
Oh, yeah. That could have easily been the take. With all the pieces that you find, which we're not going to tiptoe around it much longer. We're coming right up on the spoiler warning, which at this point we say the episode can wait.
The episode can wait.
Yeah, again, it's gonna be a bit of a wait.
But it's worth it. We had a lot of fun playing this game, so...
Go watch 3 movies.
Yeah, it's not as quick as Clue.
No.
But, yeah, and you get to indulge in the meta-narrative, which is really cool, which is why I want another game. Anyway... Spoilers after this. You have been warned.
Okay, so, immediately to spoil something that's not in this game that I really liked, this time travel mission with a humble focus does not end up coincidentally explaining how the time travel was invented.
Yes, that honestly, that's... Oh, it's so nice.
That's actually a very good point. And it's not because you're so focused on the mission. It's easy to focus on the mission even when you're watching the whole movie and it's taking a while in the beginning. I didn't have time travel questions. I was honestly paying attention to the story. It was engaging. I was in it.
Yeah, and while Jenny photographing some weird time shenanigans could eventually lead to the discovery of time travel, that whole revelation is shocking to the time travelers in the story. So,
yeah,
she might have put a ball in motion, but she's not, like, the inventor as far as we know.
Oh, I don't know if I even thought about that. Because I'm too tied up into our characters, into the mission at hand, which means the game's doing a good job. Mm-hmm. The fact that the meta-narrative is there, and it only comes up at very specific little points, that's a good thing, I think. I much more cared what happened to our couple and Neil and everybody.
Yeah. It was really interesting because, like, we tried to focus on, like, saving one person at a time and trying to figure out how to save people. And so we're like, okay, let's save Linda. And we just, like, focused on her for a while and then, like, wait, how did we save Neil?
Right. Linda's the big sister. And then by working on her story, she saves her brother.
Which was wild.
Right. And the other thing that we loved is that, I have it in the notes here, is that we were saving the people. We're not saving the world. And that was really nice for a change. It was nice to just be taking care of just everyday type people. And the other thing I loved was the friendships, just the relationships, and how these people in this household, even though one of them is brand new, are all banding together to try and take care of one another. And not just in a make sure that everybody's fed and housed kind of way, but like they look after their landlord when he's trying to get back together with his crazy ex. I mean, and of course their lives are definitely impacted by him having a relationship with crazy ex, but still.
They're more along the lines of like, oh no, he's gonna get hurt. She's got knives.
Yeah, it's like, it's not just he's gonna get his heart broken again. It's like, no, she's got a different take on what behavior is okay and what behavior is not.
Hell, even when, like, Tom is like, hey, Neil, you're too aggressive to, like, keep doing this. Like, I'm not gonna evict you, but I need you to find somewhere else.
You mean the fights?
Yeah, the fights. Like, if you're getting this aggressive, I'm gonna need you to find somewhere else. But I'm not gonna, like, put you on the street or something. Do you have somewhere else you can be? Can you find somewhere? They're not out to get each other.
No, not at all. And I think, the way they used the butterfly effect was really cool. Like, stuff I never would have expected to change would change. Because you're given, the secrets that you find out are things like, oh, the landlord's growing pot in the basement. CBD pot for his mom with cancer.
Or was it cancer? Was it like...
Okay, for his very sick and pain mom.
Yeah.
I swear we had an explanation for what it was specifically, but... then again, it might not have come up.
That wasn't the important part, so it's a reason it didn't stick in our memory.
Yeah, but because he's doing that, he's getting blackmailed. Oh, no!
And who's gonna help him with the blackmail? The thing is, the point I'm trying to make here is that it feels weird to be a time travel uncovering people's secrets from their housemates, but it turns out that revealing those secrets gives everyone in the household an opportunity to better care for one another. And then they do. And it's just so heartwarming to watch happen, where it's like the more you help people be vulnerable and trust each other, that trust is rewarded, which I feel like in narratives, especially fiction narratives, that happens so little. It's like usually it's like, oh, this is why you can't trust anyone.
There's a reason why like Raquel is the one who discovers Tom's pot secret, and of course, depending on like how you play it, it's more of a like, I didn't know you were that cool, right?
She's an artist, by the way, so which is a stereotype for a reason. Mm-hmm. Many artists indulge in freeing their minds with substances, so that is just a thing. Not that that's hit on for her, it's just that the fact that she finds that cool is in character with who she is overall. But who helps him with his blackmail but the doctor? Just what? The things that it's like, but it rewards them being genuine and being vulnerable, which is not what I expected out of what appears to be kind of a sci-fi narrative. Usually those are pretty bro and violence oriented and all that kind of thing. It's like, is there a weapon in this? No, just a threat, right? I mean, the blackmailer does threaten.
Yeah, I don't remember there being any weapons.
Exactly. It's just, I went into this pretty blind. It popped up in like a Steam recommend for me for some reason.
Sometimes it's spot on.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes we just find these gems I had never heard of before. And I had never heard of Eternal Threads. And I'm like, I didn't even look into it too hard because I thought we might play it together, and I didn't want to I wanted us all to have an equal footing. And
I think it's good we had an equal footing for this one.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I don't think this would go very well with one person who's played before and everybody else having not played, because those secrets are fun. What's that?
You have to sit on your hands and like shift and like not say anything and.
Yeah, it's like this one would be really easy to spoil if you knew what was going on ahead of time, and it's really fun to dig up each other's secrets and once you realize you're supposed to do that, and you're supposed to try things that normally you wouldn't do with your friends, I guess. I don't know. Like, I personally would never encourage my married friend to have an
affair with her landlord.
Yeah, to drunkenly sleep with her landlord. But when you do that, it helps them both survive. It keeps him away from his ex, And it teaches her how it explains more why she's there at all, and exposes the problems she's having with her husband, and makes her face the facts that she might be happier without him if stuff doesn't change. Like, wow.
And then it also makes Neil, her brother, start to, like, be more open about, like, hey, I didn't actually have a great childhood, sis. So I don't want you tearing this house apart for me. Like,
oh, yeah. That, and he doesn't want to see the same things happen to his nephew.
mm-hmm.
This is how well thought out this narrative is. It's really cool. And I've never heard anybody talk about this game. So, I mean, I really wanted to make sure that we made an episode because, like, it was a lot of fun. You wouldn't say, yay, you saved people from a house fire with the power of friendship in a sci-fi, because it's dark, you know, the whole thing is filmed like it's kind of the vibe of the film is like, because it's you wandering around a burnt out house, everything is dark and dystopian,
and it's like, yeah, how you interact with all this time stuff is like, you know, you're not there, you're watching sort of holographic projections of it.
Well, you are there in the burnt out house, but the people aren't there.
Yeah, you're not in person for, you know, the actual events that went down here, you're just there in the aftermath.
Yeah, and honestly, like, because there's a true ending to this, and I guess also a secret ending-ish, kind of, right? Like,
I guess, but we're in spoiler territory, just
yeah,
talk.
yeah, but like, I was expecting, like, a true ending for this game to be, like, somebody comes back and sees you. That's what I was expecting, but no, our secret ending is that you're not the only time traveler there! Somebody came in there before you!
It's like, yeah, so there's alluded to a person who was in this house before the beginning of the game, and it's like, yeah, you go into the safe where their confiscated stuff is, and they have older time travel equipment.
Yeah, and so then when you get, like, the good ending, you find out they've been hiding in the attic the whole time.
Yeah, we've never been given the option to go in the attic or even notice that there was one.
And then when you go to investigate, dude kidnaps you, basically.
And we're left with a cliffhanger. Oh my god, I want to know more about that story. But I want to know more about that story because of the people, you know, because of how they write people. You know, it's like all the action
deal, man?
all the action movie shit that I expect out of, you know, the sci-fi setting of these time travel devices, and, you know, we're trying to save the future by saving these people in little bits, you know? It's like, I know I'm just a cog in a machine, I'm just doing this mission, right? Well, I want to do more missions, I want to know more about the meta narrative, I want to know more about that world, but I want to do so more so than if they had just fed me that, right? If they had made that the game, it wouldn't have been near so fun.
So, like, this leaves questions about, like, why were you messing around here? And, like, you're not undoing the work I've just done, so what's your goals? How do they align here?
Yeah, you just left with so many questions. Don't get me wrong, I love questions. I like a good mystery. But, yeah. So anything else we need to talk about in Eternal Threads?
The moral of the story is don't text your ex.
You know, just in life, you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna have bad decisions, you're going to accumulate drama, but if you understand that everybody has some of that and are willing to be kind to them about it, you might just help everyone survive a house fire.
Okay, the real moral of the story is make a lot of mistakes so a time traveler can help you make better mistakes.
Okay, I give up.
I don't really believe in morality stories. I don't think that that's a good thing, but, you know, I do love that it subverted so many of my expectations. Like, the best ending for the Doctor is to not be a super doc, not fly off and go help refugees and that sort of thing, and to have better communication with his partner. That's his best ending.
Yeah, and, like, there's lots of, like, discussions in, like, general, like, philosophy about, like, is doing bad things okay if, like, the result is good. And, like, we do have a little bit of the, you know, people not doing great things sometimes. Like, you know, cheating on your spouse. But it's not, we're not talking about, like, anything, like, super egregious. It's not like, oh, I murdered somebody, but it's okay because these 6 people lived.
Right.
Yeah, it's like you don't have to sacrifice anyone to make this happen.
Which could have easily been a part of the narrative, and they didn't do that. I liked how optimistic and hopeful the whole thing is. It's so rare to find fiction stories that are that optimistic, yet still maintain mystery, yet still, just, there's a lot going on here that's kind of hard to articulate. I really just encourage you to play.
Yeah, it's great being able to see, these people get closer together and, end off living happy lives after you've watched the whole movie where you just know they're all gonna die at the end.
But I also didn't feel like it was a swoop in and rescue people. It was I'm going to change some very simple things. Do you reveal this secret to your friend or do you not? Do you take the bird to the vet? Do you not? Those are the kinds of choices that you're allowed to make. And the butterfly effect makes the change happen. All you get to do is change a little decision. You don't get to move objects. You don't get to tell people things they wouldn't have already known. None of that. Your whole mechanic is, does she tell him she's pregnant? Or does she lie about it? That's it.
All you change is what decision each of these characters makes when the moment comes around.
Use these little decisions to give them space to grow. That's it. You just change one little thing. Ding! Oh, how did people change? What changed? How did they grow? What decisions are they making now that they have had that growth? And it had a cascade effect all the way down the timeline, which was really cool to see. And I don't think I've ever seen a narrative do that before.
Or at the very least, not one pull it off this well.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely would honestly place this as, as far as time travel games go, this is pretty high up on my list of ones. Both because I think its implementation of time travel as a mechanic is good, but also just the way it's written.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very good. And, it's satisfying to see, those butterfly effects and going to yourself and thinking, hey, wait, can I make this bike not get stolen? Or... can I find this thing? Can I do that? There's so many little things.
Yeah. And it was just a really good time.
So yeah, when you're lining up and see one by one all those markers of where the authorities found the dead people start disappearing.
Oh my god, yeah, that's very satisfying. To just make one little tweak and then, it's gone.
Oh my gosh, we saved so-and-so. We weren't even trying to save so-and-so. I wonder what we did that worked. And then you go back and you try and figure out what works, so maybe you could do it for somebody else. And it's just the positive reinforcement of change. I would love to see a non-Eternal Threads universe game that used a similar mechanic to talk about, political change. That would be really cool, where you can see, because I did this, then this happened, and then that happened. It's I was nice to my neighbor, and I talked about how this other thing is happening in the world that concerns me. And they're I didn't even know that was happening. And then they tell their friend, and then these other changes start happening for positive. How the little bits of good you do have butterfly big effects. That would be really fun to see, so, If anybody's listening who does that kind of thing, I would definitely play the hell out of that.
Time travel games are great, and keep making them. I have a problem. I'm obsessed.
You are. Time travel is kind of taken over Shuckle's life.
I'm playing in Stars in Time right now, and I'm loving it.
It's I think if I had a list of top 10, top 5 video games, it's I know at least 2 of them have time travel.
Okay.
Outer Wilds.
Outer Wilds, duh. And... Oh, this one?
No, Sonic CD.
Oh. I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking about it as time travel, but of course it is. I've never played it. I've only heard a lot about it. But, in weird pockets of information, not really connected into context, And that's okay. That's fine.
So anyway, yeah, we'll always have time for time travel.
Alright, I think we're good for now.
I think so too. Thank you so much for joining us. As per usual, you can find Shuckle on Twitch, on Honeyshuckle.tv,
Twitch.tv/Honeyshuckleex, and you can find Giggleklutz on Blue Sky.
Hi,
that'd be Giggleklutz.bluesky?
Yeah,
just .social. There you go.
I don't remember how those tags work. Cause. But yeah, I'm in Blue Sky pretty much every day, so if you want to talk to me, that's where you'd find me.
And if you want to find this guy, this is the best place to look.
Good luck catching him. Alright, I'm Honeyshuckleex.
I'm Sackbot Barbecue.
And I'm Giggleclutz. This has been Collab Not Multiplayer. Goodbye!
Bye!
Bye.